when somebody fact checks you. Like a chameleon, you change your attire. Kamala's a big fat liar. Kamala's a big fat liar.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Kamala's a big fat liar. So sorry. I just love what they can do to music, right? I just love it. Anyway, welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Daly Show. I'm really happy about that. And of course, support the show by visiting the sponsors right on the website. Okay, just go down and there's the I can't talk today. Hold on. The SoundClouds that you can share of the show, the podcast of this here live show you're listening to right now, is on the bottom of the homepage, katedallyradio.com, along with my sponsors. So do me a solid today and visit those sponsors. All right, Melissa, back here with you.
Yeah, so let's kind of keep talking about some North Carolina stuff because
Mhm.
the rumor mill has begun to churn.
Yeah.
The initial shock is over, and now we're starting to. Some other stories are starting to pop through the cracks, if you will.
Mhm.
So I found this to be a very interesting story. Homeowners are accusing Duke Energy
Mhm.
of protecting Lake Norman, which is this big lake in the middle of all of this, of protecting Lake Norman properties
Mhm.
and so they let upstream and downstream properties of Lake Norman flood while protecting Lake Norman because Lake Norman had more affluent homes surrounding it. That's the story. And so some of these people are beginning to talk. Some of the
Yeah.
pain and shock is wearing off, and now they're starting to say, excuse us.
Yeah.
How come it is that the little lake that we lived by flooded at 30 feet above, whatever,
Yeah.
massive amounts of water, whereas Lake Norman barely crested above flood stage?
Hmm.
And Duke Energy controls the system of, the flood control system
Right.
along this whole thing.
You
So
know,
I find that to be fascinating.
it is. It is. It's sad. It's more sad, I think. It's like you hope that you don't read headlines like that because it kind of dictates just some awfulness about people and priority, but you know, uh,
Well, in their
it is what
defense,
it is.
Duke Energy is saying, well, Lake Norman is a huge lake.
Mhm.
It could take a lot more water than these smaller lakes. It takes less to flood the smaller
So
ones.
backpedaling
Yeah, well, they are.
from
And they
awfulness.
said,
Yeah.
and by the way, this is a story I bet you haven't heard.
Mhm.
There's apparently a nuclear facility up in there.
Mhm.
And they said, we did not want this nuclear power plant to flood.
Hmm.
That would be bad to deal with radioactive water. Wouldn't it make it even worse? And okay, I'll give him that point. But how come we haven't been told anything about
Yeah.
that? How come we haven't heard not a peep about it?
They didn't think of that when they wanted to backpedal. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from. It's just, you kind of see some of the awfulness, and that's kind of the awfulness. I mean, it's FEMA coming in and barring everybody from doing anything to help out when people are literally dying and drowning and things like that. And it's like the awfulness of it, and it's hard to hear. It really is. It's hard to hear for all of us because you think, well, there's no way any of that could happen. There's no way Duke would say that. There's no way or do that for that other purpose, or you can't imagine that FEMA workers would stand there and just want power instead of saying, go help. You know what I mean? It's just, it's hard for us to reconcile that.
Well,
That's
we
the
can
truth.
pivot over then and
Hmm.
talk about whether FEMA has been weaponized.
Ah, yes,
That
absolutely. It has.
I think it has been because, and,
Politicized.
and this is very curious. Mayorkas,
Hmm.
the head of
Hmm.
FEMA, just a month before all of this happened,
Hmm.
said that they were well prepared to deal with any potential crisis.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
Here's the quote: FEMA's tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here is also to make sure that communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well. But do you know what? Then he goes on to talk about, Oh, we're totally ready to handle all these climate change issues.
When it comes to what they want to say is climate change, they're really good at looking for 4-star hotels in areas that have been hit by disaster like Hawaii. And this is the other thing. FEMA is completely illegal. Completely illegal. The states could do their own recovery efforts. Anything on a federal level, which is what FEMA is absolutely 100% corrupt and wrong, because the feds have absolutely not a constitutional word about forming an agency like that, nor can they funnel money to it, our tax dollars, illegally. We'll be right back. More with Melissa Smith coming right back on The Kate Daly Show.